Good morning, and thank you for joining with me this morning. It's funny how we often see the disciples in great works of art or in stained glass windows. They were great guys, but they weren't perfect. Do you remember James and John? They wanted the top jobs. They wanted the glory, and if we're honest with ourselves, we'll admit we quite like the glory now and again. But the disciples didn't really realise where Jesus was leading them, and he took them aside and he taught them some important truths. Way back in 1878, when the Salvation Army was beginning to make its mark, men and women from all over the world began to enlist, and a man called Samuel Brengle decided to enlist, but General Booth, the leader of the Salvation Army, wasn't too sure of him. So in order to instill some humility in him, he made him work by cleaning the boots of other trainees. And Brengle thought, if I signed up in order to blacken boots, then he seemed to have a vision of Jesus bending over the feet of the fishermen. And he whispered, Lord, you wash their feet. I will try to black their shoes. And he went on to establish the Salvation Army in America. Now, just before his death, he sent out a short memo to all of his top leaders. And the memo had one single word written on it. And that word was others. In other words, think of other people rather than yourself. Jesus knew there were two great motivators in life. And one was fear and the other was love. Now, he had no interest in intimidating his disciples, but he painted a vision and he led with love, not fear. And that's the case today. There's a lovely wee fable told of the trees who were talking in the forest one day about their dreams. And the first said he wanted to be made into a cot so that it might support the life of a newborn baby. The second said, I'd love to be made into a ship so that it might carry important people to new lands and new tasks. And the third said, well, I want to remain where I am. I want to grow taller and point higher to remind everybody that there's a God who loves us. Well, one day the woodmen came, they chopped down the 3 trees, they destroyed their dreams. And the first tree was made into a feeding trough for animals. It was sold to a family in Bethlehem. And on the night that Jesus was born, it became his cradle. The second tree was built into a boat, a small, inexpensive fishing boat. And a fellow called Peter came along one day and he bought the boat. And one warm afternoon, when the crowds pressed in on Jesus, he climbed aboard that boat so that he might speak to those who wanted to hear. The third tree wanted to remain where it was, but instead it was cut down. It was shaped into a cross, and it was on that cross that Jesus was crucified. The 3 trees were humbled. The 3 trees didn't get what they wanted, but in the plan of God, they served him. It's kind of crazy in life, but I think I have found when I got on my high horse, it was good to throw away those delusions of grandeur. And it was then, in those moments, I would feel closer to God. I implicitly believe it's the simple things in life that matter. It's the simple things that you do for others and I try to do for others. And that's where I believe God is near us and speaks to us. All of us. Again, I can only thank you for joining with me, and God bless you this week and always.